How many of you guys have been to the Bouchard Gardens up in... So on, I guess is it Vancouver Island? Vancouver Island. Back in 1904, there was a couple who moved there, and his business was cement. And so there was a large limestone deposit, so he began to dig out the limestone and used it to make concrete for the area. So after a while, his wife, who was living there, the limestone was giving out, and it was just this, if you can imagine, like a rock pit that's just dug out. So it's just kind of this, it dug in this valley. It's just like rock, whatever. And she had this vision to turn it into something beautiful. So what she did was she began to bring in, just like it was by like a horse and buggy type thing, just bring in carts of topsoil and begin to put them in this area that is just like solid rock, doesn't look like anything. It had served its purpose of being a limestone pit, but she had a vision to make it something else. She brought in dirt, she began to plant things, and she developed this garden. And then they developed another garden, a Japanese garden, and then they developed a rose garden. And if you go there, it's open all year round, and it's just like some of the most beautiful gardens. People come from all over. They've actually, I think, gifted it to the country of Canada. It's like kind of like a national park. And it's just become a place that's just famous for its beauty. It's just incredible. And I was thinking of, like, you guys are jumping into freedom, and we all start somewhere, and different things happen in our life, and we might be like a limestone pit, maybe not super incredible, but this lady had a vision to change the way things were. And so she began to bring in dirt. She began to bring in seeds. She began to just take care of it. And it established something that is now like world famous. And what God wants to do in us, bring in a little dirt. What's that look like? What's so amazing about that? Oh, it'll grow this. It'll grow roses. It'll grow whatever. And to totally change our lives to where they're a thing that the Bible actually says when people look at us, they'll just say, you can't be that amazing. It had to be God doing something in you. And we'll recognize that God's at work in us. And so the potential of us grabbing a hold of something like freedom and just saying, God, what do you want to do with this in my life? What's that going to look like? And just to totally transform our lives. And the Bible even uses this crazy word like that we're transfigured. It's like we go from one thing to a complete another thing. So that is like, if we could jump into Papa God's heart and say, what are you thinking for me? He's like, I'm thinking to make you just so incredibly beautiful that it totally takes the hard areas and makes them alive, and people will be amazed because of who you are when you let God just do things in your life. Isn't it amazing that he wants to do that? That he's just like, oh, wow. And he has every tool to do that in our lives. He doesn't have any limitation as far as budget. It's just like, hey, God, what do you want to do in me? And it's just incredible.